They say that by 2030, 40% of a lot of the jobs out there will basically be downsized. People say, well, John, is AI going to take over people's jobs? No, it's going to expand it. I always find that a lot of entrepreneurs, we kind of start here, but we want to get to this end destination here. And for some of us, it's different. For most people, I want to get to the startup level. So startup level is like getting to your first 500K. And then we're going to get from 500K to that 3 million mark, where it's now, okay, we have a business, we want to scale. Then we want to go from that 3 million to 10 million. These are kind of the bands that I've seen, and then 10 million plus. So there's a different thing that is getting us to that level. And the good news is, with AI now, they're talking about a unicorn company. A unicorn meaning a single person company, but now valued at multiple 7 figures and beyond. So why is that important? Well, we need to understand how the tech works. We need to understand what it is that's where the trends are moving to. But it's also realizing how can we implement it today. It's a bit overwhelming, isn't it? You know, there's this tech and there's this LLM and then there's new DeepSeek and it's better than this one. And which one do I use? It's important to understand where we are, where we can really meet and to kind of get to here. If you look at business, I've been in business for 20 years now. There's only really 3 things you got to figure out and get right. First one is you got to get really good at the marketing. Meaning, what is your ability to be able to generate leads? You know, I ask a simple question to businesses. How many leads do you generate a month? How many leads do you generate a week? How many leads do you generate a day? And if you can answer these questions, and you can do that on a what I call a repeatable basis. So if you do it over and over and over and over and over again, you can really start to grow faster and quicker because you can work out someone's revenue based on how many leads they generate. So the first part is we got to get the marketing right here. You want to increase the revenue. And again, I know some of you are doing things in different ways and some of you are already doing really well, but there's always a new level. So we got to get this part right. And by the way, this changes a lot, doesn't it? Algorithm changes. And, you know, I remember the times we used to make a post and like 100,000 people would like it. And now you get like 10 likes. So the algorithm is starting to change. But it's good news for the smaller creators now because now the algorithm is now favoring smaller accounts as well. Really understanding what the marketing strategies are. And there are different ways to do it. You've got the paid ways to do it. You have the organic ways to do it. You have the joint venture ways to do it. You've got the collaborative ways to be able to grow as well. And this is actually one of the biggest things that people don't do. Like, you want to increase your business, all you need to do is find someone else who has the audience and then create something for them. That's actually what we've been doing for the last, I would say we started doing this right after the pandemic because things started to get tough. Marketing costs started getting higher. Competition like blew up overnight. So we got to understand how do we get the audience. So that's the first part. The second part is, of course, your monetization. How many of you, like, you actually generate a lot of leads, but then the monetization sometimes doesn't match the leads? So then how do we figure that out? And again, it changes a lot. Do you remember the times you could just send an email out and people would buy your stuff? And now it's like you can't even give it away for free. So market perception and market behavior has changed because market has changed. And so that's why myself, Kirk and Juliet, we're touring the entire world right now to find out what are the best things that are working in today's market. Right? We look at what's happening in Singapore and then they'll coming to Australia and kind of feeling the landscape here. And then looking at what's happening in Silicon Valley, LA, New York, all that stuff that's happening and seeing how things are changing because they are doing things differently. And so we've got to find different ways to be able to do this. So number one is different ways to market. Number two is how do you monetize? Because actually for business, that's one of the most important parts, isn't it? Like if you can't offer your product or service and people don't buy it, then unfortunately your business doesn't make money, can't survive. And the way I look at this is the most important part. It's kind of like your oxygen. If you don't have that, you can't breathe. That's why, how many of you heard of this rule, 80-20? It's called the Pareto rule. But here's what everybody gets wrong. They spend 80% of the time creating something, 20% of the time selling. And it's a natural thing to create. But you want to actually do it the other way around. You want to actually start doing 80% of the stuff in marketing and getting yourself out there, and then 20% of the time creating. That's why they always say that it takes a year to write a book, but 10 years to promote it. Have you heard that saying before? Because you're always promoting the book. It's like when people do films as well. It's the same thing. So we've got to make sure that we get the marketing right, then we got to get the sales right, and then you got to get the fulfillment right. That's the third thing. And fulfillment requires the operations. And here's the good news. We're now moving to the world of Agentic AI. Is anyone familiar with what an agent is? Agent is a program that creates a specific outcome. For example, I have a specific agent because I get a lot of CEOs that come to me and say, John, like, I want to do a presentation. How do I put a presentation together? One of the things that I do is I've now got an...
This is John Lee, well, the AI version of him. I am here to help you with your speaking skills. Ask me any questions about John Lee's 7-figure speaking template.
Yeah, I want to create a presentation that can sell a bottle of water.
That's awesome. Selling a bottle of water might seem simple, but with the right strategy, you can make it incredibly compelling. Let's break it down step by step using my 7-figure speaking template. First, tell me, what's the unique selling proposition of this water?
Oh, this water's from Japan and it's the purest water and it's going to give you lots of energy.
That's fantastic. Japanese pure water with energy boosting properties. That's a great hook. Now let's get into crafting.
So that's an example of an agent. So an agent can perform a specific task. Another example of an agent would be an agent that can create a piece of content for you. So when we say we're moving into agentic AI, that means every single task that you perform on a daily basis can now be replaced with artificial intelligence. Powerful, yes or no? Pretty exciting, isn't it? Because now we are getting into the world of scale now. So imagine if I can take agentic AI for my customer services department. So every time you call it, you're just speaking to artificial intelligence, you're speaking to AI. Or now I make a phone call and it goes to my products department. Or how many of you have hired staff and had to train them before? Yeah, imagine if you never had to sit down with them and now your AI can train them, not to the fullest level, but if I can get to at least 80% of that, that's pretty cool, isn't it? I think it's forever changing. In fact, Therese, like last time you came to one of my big talks, the big event, all that stuff's kind of redundant now because it's evolving so quick. And probably within the next 6 months from today, a lot of the things that we kind of study here will be not redundant, but it'll start to evolve.